TechTale 78. Today is July 13th, 7:29 a.m. on a Tuesday, second Tuesday of the month, which is normally Update Tuesday. I'm not sure that we're going to get an update today because last week Microsoft issued this cumulative update on July 6th. It had that print nightmare vulnerability patch. At that point, they called it an out-of-band update. But since it actually came through as a cumulative update and the size of it corresponded to the normal size of a cumulative update, that could just be left to be the cumulative update for July. But at the moment, they haven't updated that, so looks like nothing might happen. They could update that at any time today or even tomorrow. Second Tuesday of the month isn't locked in, rock solid. Sometimes at least some computers won't get it till the day after or 2 days after even. And that is sometimes in part due to rolling updates. So this is kind of an unusual month for updates. So let's go get started with time slips. This time slip is for July 2nd, 44 minutes for the apartment building Mike Tango from 9:43 to 10:27 a.m. Responding, or this time slip identified for Delta, picked up 3 community center computers for lab work, discussed plans with Delta. And then for Victor, discussed printer capabilities for 2-sided operations, determined unable to copy both sides of original without reinserting the original and destination. So on her printer, it has a button for 2-sided copying, and then it has 2 icons, and one is indicating that you want one side of the original copied onto 2 sides of the source or the destination. And that one can be done without having to manually manipulate the paper. But the other icon that shows the front and back of the original copied to the front and back of the destination, this printer doesn't have the capability of flipping over the original. So you have to manually turn it over, and you have to manually reinsert the destination paper upside down. So there's no point in having a button that selects that because you could do it without that button. Then on the point on that time slip about picking up the 3 computers, well, that's these computers over here. There's one, and yeah, you can see one over here. I think that one's even live. So I actually have a total of 5 of these computers in my possession right now. 3 of them are for the apartment building Mike Tango, and 2 of them, the exact same model, are for the apartment building Golf Alpha. So we bought all these computers around the same time. It was for the residents in those buildings, and you can see here I've got all of this is games that I put on to it. And then I'm going to be using, as a new solution, I'm going to be using a software product called Time Freeze that was recommended to me by one of my regular viewers, often in the chat. His name's The Manure. And it is a software that runs on top of Windows and freezes the computer. So what happens is the user can do things on the computer, make changes, but when the computer restarts, it goes back to its original state. Kind of like a virtual PC, but not the same. They can make any changes they want to. Well, not any changes. They can have them as standard users, but they could actually install some programs as a standard user. When they restart the computer, it's back to the way that it was. Then so far one of these computers won't start up, and it's not that I tried a different power brick and it just won't respond to the power button at all. These are inexpensive computers. I'm probably not going to try to repair it. We'll just bring in another computer. So then the next time slip is also Friday, July 2nd, 26 minutes for the Law Office Whiskey, 10:40 a.m. to 11:06 a.m. for Juliet, which is the attorney. Checked Network Solutions webpage for information about configuring iPad for email, finding the documentation link to be broken. Found applicable instructions at, and then I give a website, and this is not Network Solutions on web.com. Found an article for it. So he had purchased a new iPad for himself and had asked me to help him set up the email. Well, this doesn't use a Microsoft Exchange server because it's Network Solutions. And I have told you a few times in prior Tech Tales about Network Solutions. They're just kind of backwards. They're not up to date with how things work. So we have to manually input mail server credentials, mail server names, and so on. So then the next time slip is more on that. So let's just go straight to that for 48 minutes, also on Friday. 11:37 to 12:25 for the same attorney, Juliet, Law Office Whiskey. Phone and remote support to configure email on new iPad via LogMe and Rescue. Documented steps for future reference. Adjusted pop-ups on computer to allow pop-ups on credit union site. So that's two different tasks for him. So the LogMe and Rescue that I've been using for a long, long time, it cost me, I don't know, $1,200 a year, something like that, allows me to connect remotely to iPhones and iPads and Android phones. Kind of sort of can connect to a Mac, but I haven't had good success with that, and I don't have much occasion to do that. So I also have Instant House Call, which I think does a better job for Macs. But I still haven't got myself into using Instant House Call. I pay for both. There are tools that, as a professional technician and doing a lot of remote support, I want to have that variation. And when I do use Instant House Call currently, I still pay for it, have hardly been using it over a year. But there have been times when LogMe and Rescue just won't connect. And then I try it with Instant House Call and I can get connected. But I have found with Instant House Call, the connection just runs slower. So I think it's, as with any competing product, there are advantages and disadvantages with either product. And I really want to get more acquainted with Instant House Call. So then let's go. Okay, so configure the iPad. Now with the iPad, I was able to do some data entry myself, but that's not very consistent. So there were times when it just wouldn't respond to me, so I told him what to do. But without being able to get my eyes on it, that would have been really difficult to do. Because I don't know where to go to. How do you guide a person where to touch on an iPad screen to enter a piece of information when they're very, very not computer literate? He's a very smart man. He's a great attorney, but on computer stuff, there's this firewall of awareness that or understanding that just it doesn't work for him. And I don't think he would mind me saying that at all. So I documented the steps for future reference so that I can do that quicker and easier in the future. Because those instructions that I found, I've referenced in the previous time slip, they were a little bit of a struggle to get through. So then adjusting pop-ups on his computer to allow pop-up. He said on the credit union site, he couldn't get some next. He would click on a button and it just wouldn't come up. And it was supposed to be some kind of pop-up button. So I went to the website and went to his pop-up management on his browser and found that it was already configured to allow pop-ups on that site. So I added an extra URL that was more specific to the page that he was on, that it wasn't functioning. And then we were just going to see how it goes. There was something about that the test just wasn't working at that point. Maybe it was because there was, I don't know what that was. Somehow he wasn't able to conclude that solved the problem. And we were going to have to defer that conclusion. So then the last one we'll do today is also Friday 6 minutes, and this is for the chiropractic office. 1:21 to 1:27 p.m., 6 minutes, and that's for Tango. Phone and remote support. Need all prior years of Payroll Mate installed. 2019 and 2020 needed ASAP. So this was the person that I've gone through time slip before about replacing her computer. I had her computer in here. I did some videos on it. It was called the TC experiment, something like that. And it's the computer where I first discovered the cryptographic services that would get all busy. It would go up to high CPU utilization, and it was just unusable. You could click the start button, for instance, and wait 3 or 4 minutes before it responded. And you could go to the task manager and end that service, and the computer would instantly be responsive and work just fine. I did some work on it during those videos trying to fix it, and then just decided, it's kind of an old computer, we just replaced it. So I still have that computer here, still can go back and fix that. Now, one of these computers from the apartment buildings had that same issue. But because of time constraints, I'm not going to deal with it on that computer. I'm just going to go ahead and rebuild these the way that I want them. And the other piece of that is the MC-Soft Emergency Toolkit. I didn't use that with the TC computer experiment, but I have tried it on the one of these computers that had that problem. It did not solve the problem. So I'm still very interested. I'm really curious about, could it be that those computers were set up for folding at home? That was that time back at the beginning of COVID where they had this capability where you could volunteer your computer's CPU to do work on the behalf of the scientists who were trying to find a solution. It was called folding at home. The other thing I'm wondering is, could it be crypto mining, that the computer's been compromised and crypto miners are using it for computing resources. So I think that'll do it for this episode. I hope that was useful. Have a great day. Catch you later. Goodbye.